more early in the future? I doubt it. There is no reason for them to be regulated. FPS games have no correlation to like actual real life violence. There's actually like been scientific studies to prove that they have no relation. Before people make excuses, when people like try to blame video games for violence, is literally just another excuse to avoid the actual problems, which is at home. You know, we have legislation that's a problem. We have situations with guns, that's a problem. We have situations with parenting, that's a problem. But instead of like actually owning up to any of that kind of shit, we would rather just blame video games. So there's no need to like regulate video games or shooters when they're not the reason why there's world violence. Humans have been violent for as long as we've been walking this planet. Before we had guns, we freaking kill people with freaking sticks. Before we use bow and arrows to do it. We use freaking, you know, muskets. We use like all these other things. It's never been about, you know, the media that's used. It's always been just parenting that's been a problem, and society as a whole is a freaking problem. Because I play video games, there's literally just been actual scientific studies to try to find a correlation between video games and violence in the world, and they couldn't find any correlation between it. There's also been scientific studies that prove that video games actually help people who have mental illness. It also helps people who have aspirations for, you know, anything that involves mental capabilities or physical capabilities in jobs. Like there's literally doctors who play video games because it helps them be better surgeons. The FAA are hiring people who play flight simulator games because they notice those people who play flight simulator games are becoming really good pilots. So there's actually scientific studies and proof that video games are helping society more so than hurting society. Now, of course, there's people who have addictions, so those people are an issue, but they're not. Their addiction isn't making them go out and kill people. What makes them go out and kill people is people who don't have any idea how to channel their anger that they've gotten from, you know, being bullied or, you know, being poorly raised. Relation between video games and world violence. Even without video games, people will still be violent. That's proven by just human history itself. When that sheriff said that the shooter from Texas played cyber games, that like that's just someone who's old talking out of their ass and try to blame something other than blame his own freaking troopers because there's 19 cops. Why Japan doesn't have a shooting problem? Because it's hard as fuck to get a freaking gun in Japan. Japan has gun culture. They don't have guns. Like it's very common in Japan to buy airsoft guns and fake guns, but they don't allow you to like just go out there and buy real guns. So Japan has a lot of gun culture, which a lot of people don't know. But they don't have all these gun crimes because it's damn near impossible for a regular person in Japan to get a fucking gun. Whereas in the United States, it's not damn near impossible for an 18-year-old to get an AR-15. They're common amongst the world, not just the United States. But only the United States has this issue. So it can't be video games that are the issue. You know, in Sweden and other areas in Scandinavia, you're not required to own a gun, but almost everyone in Scandinavian countries who was in the military owns guns, but they don't have these issues because it's not about, you know, owning a gun. It's not about video games. It's about crazy people, bad people who are getting access to shit. But instead of just acknowledging, hey, we got a fucked up situation going on inside people's households, we're just blaming other things. We're just finding something else to blame because it makes it easier for us to live our lives. Finding things to make an excuse to be the blame and make an excuse for it makes all of it easier on ourselves. In here, just it got to be this. It has to be this. It's the only way this can make sense. If it's this, it can't be that you know the parents are the problems. It can't be that society's a freaking problem. It can't be that the schools are a problem. It has to be video games, or it has to be Marvel movies. It has to be music. It's the gangster rap that creates freaking, you know, crime. Not knowing that there's no correlation between gangster rap and actual crime, but there are correlations between crime and poverty. Or not trying to fix poverty because we were just blame rap music for crime instead of actually fixing what causes crime, which is poverty. one of those is easier than the other. It's easier to just blame shit than it is to just actually accept that we have a big issue in our country when it comes to parenting, when it comes to like how our kids are treating each other. There's a more likely chance that your kid will hear you call somebody a fat fuck and then go to school and call someone a fat fuck than your kid playing a video game and mimicking that shit.